What you doing, Diggletdreamers? You got Mathers back with week 1 of the Vitality Draft League, Season 4. I am, of course, coach of the Boston Weasels, which you can see right before you right here. I saw somebody put something like this together on a Pokemon subreddit. They were asking for the help in some weird ROM draft league that I didn't really know anything about, and I was like, I have no advice for this person, but this is a pretty cool setup that they have. So I decided to steal it, and it basically just is I think it's a great visual representation of a draft. So I have my Pokemon here. I don't have the sprite for Ferroseed because I got lazy, and Ferroseed was a very last minute thing, so I had a lot of these kind of planned out from the beginning. But anyway, I've got all my typings here. I've got speed benchmarks here. So this is with 0 investment. That's the speed that this Pokemon hits at 0 investment, with a 252 EVs and a non-beneficial nature. So, like adamant or modest, essentially. That's what it hits here. And then this is jolly or timid. Basically a full investment speed boosting nature, which is, useful to look at real quick. We've got a couple different categories here just to kind of, things to know, like what kind of hazards I have and who has them, what kind of removal options I have, what kind of clerics I have, what kind of pivoting moves I have, and then I just did like an offensive support, which is, there's kind of a lot of things here. Like I ran out of space because I have so many different options. But I also thought it would be nice to do this, try to do this at least each week with the matchups that I have. So let's look at this week's matchup, which is, of course, Twin Leaf Titans, coached by Hap. He drafted Wailord round 1, which is pretty awesome. Then he's got Mega Gallade, Spectrier, Toxapex, Tangrowth, Chansey, Incineroar, Thundurus, Incarnate, Rabombi, Aurorus, and Fracture, and Klinklang. I said the and too early. So unfortunately, this is the person that stole Aurorus from me. But yeah, first things I noticed is that Gallade and Spectrier are some of the kind of biggest offensive threats that they have. Thundurus definitely not something to be underestimated. They also have a lot of really good defensive things. This core right here, Toxapex, Tangrowth, Chansey, is pretty solid. I'm not really threatened by things like Aurorus, Fracture, Klinklang, so I wasn't super worried about those. Rabombi Sticky Web is definitely something to worry about. Incineroar, I used it last season. It's a great pivot. Wailord, I was pretty sure was coming. I was hoping it was coming. So that was on my mind too. But I was just taking a look at this kind of stuff. It does have Toxic Spikes. Toxapex, of course, has 2 potential Stealth Rock users. But I thought it was more likely that Aurorus wouldn't be coming to this battle. So I thought it was more likely that Chansey would come with Stealth Rocks, if at all. Which is nice to know, because if I see the Chansey, there's probably a good chance that it's going to have Stealth Rocks. Rabombi, of course, also with the Sticky Web. Definitely something to think about. I also noticed that Thundurus and Rabombi, I believe, are the only Pokemon on this team that have hazard removal. So I knew that was going to be nice for the team, especially with Pokemon like Incineroar, Rabombi, Aurorus, and even, Pokemon that, not a lot of Pokemon that resist rocks, which I thought, it would be nice to get those up. Chansey, of course, being a pretty good Wish Passer. He's got a lot of good momentum and pivoting things with Teleport Chansey, Parting Shot Incineroar, and U-Turn Incineroar, Volt Switch Thundurus, and U-Turn Thundurus, and then Rabombi with U-Turn. So a lot of good options there. He's got a couple taunt users. He got Stun Spore, and of course he's got Auroraville. But again, I was pretty sure that Auroraville wouldn't be coming this match, just because I don't know. I don't feel like Aurorus matches up very well versus my team. I got Dugtrio, I got Zarude, I got Urshifu, Rapid Strike, even Chandelure, Slowking. All of my Pokemon basically take this thing on, which is pretty cool. So yeah, the first thing, of course, that I noticed was that, Spectre is probably one of the biggest threats that my opponent could bring. It definitely, Zarude obviously tanks. So here's the thing. I just need to think about what Pokemon I have that resist or are immune to Ghost. And that's Zarude and Komala. So 2 of my Pokemon. So in my opinion, he only had to worry about those 2 Pokemon, and then even like a Scarf Spectrier can put in a lot of work versus my team, because my defensive core is not the best versus Ghost. Like Slowking is my bulky water, so it's going to be hit hard by Ghost types. Since it is very specially bulky, it can definitely tank some hits, but definitely not something I really want it to do a lot of. Chandelure is also weak to it, one of my biggest wall breakers. Although I do understand, because a lot of my Pokemon can easily run a Choice Scarf to outspeed it, even Chandelure or higher. So base 80 speed or higher will easily outspeed this thing. Would Toxtricity outspeed it too? Not that Toxtricity could really do much damage anyway. But yeah, so I understand. Kamala is a pretty hard counter. As a root could also come in. It even has jungle healing if he's like a Will-O-Wisp set. So there's that. So I understand. And of course, one of the next things I really wanted to take a look at was what are my trapping opportunities with Dugtrio. When I first looked at the team, I was like, Incineroar. Incineroar would be a great opportunity, because I think without being adamant, has a pretty good chance to KO. I just need to not be intimidated, so I need to come in like with a teleporter or something. I actually came up with Culberberry teleport Slowking, so that I could be in versus Incineroar, tank the knockoff thanks to the Culberberry, teleport out into Dugtrio, and then trap the Incineroar, knock it out. And then my plan was to have Chandelure, kind of like Scarf Chandelure, go ham versus the team, because Scarf Chandelure does outspeed everything on this team. Super effective, of course, versus the Gallade, can knock out the Spectrier. Incineroar is basically the only thing. And then I had Trick for the Chansey, but then once I started to think more about the Chansey, that's when I started to worry about Chandelure. So I ended up doing a couple different things. I brought Scarf Urshifu, because 97 base speed, it's still going to be outspeeding everything. It's faster than Chandelure, obviously. And with just a little bit of chip damage, I believe, like just a Stealth Rock switch in, Surging Strikes knocks out Spectre. It also knocks out things like Mega Gallade. I can U-turn on Tangrowth and Toxapex. I can also knock out Chansey, of course, Incineroar, Thundurus, Romy, like everything goes down except for Tangrowth and Toxapex. And so I was like, okay, what do I need to break those 2? Toxtricity. So, of course, I'm bringing Toxtricity. I don't even need to run like a Scarf or anything. I don't need to run like Shift Gear, because the only things that I really need this for are Toxapex and Tangrowth. And so I just ended up going with not a choiced set, just so that I could swap between moves, because these 2 could easily like go back and forth with the generator and like stall me out, but I wanted to be able to switch up moves without being, I don't want to be locked in. Chansey, of course, still being a pretty big issue for Toxtricity, which is also why I decided to not have a choice item, so I could kind of mess around with that. I don't want to reveal too much of what I was doing, just so, going forward I can still have a few tricks up my sleeve. So the team looking so far, I got Komala is basically my hard check to Spectre. I'm just running Boots, Rapid Spin, Knockoff, U-turn, just to beat that thing. Toxtricity is going to be a pretty good wall breaker. We got Scarf Urshifu. I got Dugtrio as my trapper, because Incineroar, while I'm not running Chandelure anymore, Incineroar is still a good opportunity to trap. I can trap the Aurorus, the Fracture, the Toxapex maybe, but the Toxapex is actually pretty tough to break. Can't trap the Spectre because it is a ghost type, but the other thing I did really think about was Gallade. Because it's a Mega, it can't prepare for being trapped, like if I can catch it, and it's not going to be able to outspeed, so I basically get a big hit off on it. I ended up going with Focus Sash, because that allowed me to, if I'm in versus something that ends up being Scarf, like the Thundurus or something, I don't know. If I'm in versus like Incineroar and it's Scarf and I want to knock it out, I knock it out. And then I also packed, in the back, I packed Reversal for the Chansey, because I thought that'd be lit. Yeah, did I? I think I might have even brought Focus Sash Substitute. I think I might have been a madman. So I think the idea was if I trap the Chansey, then I substitute up, but then Chansey has Teleport. I don't know. And then I brought Steelix just as a very reliable stealth rocker, not to mention a check to things like Thunderous, can take a hit from most things like Gallade, even Spectrier, Incineroar, stuff like that. And yeah, I brought Slowking, of course. I forgot to mention that I mean, I did mention the Colbur Berry idea that I had. So anyway, why don't we get into the battle? Because that has already happened, and I'm trying my best not to spoil. But yeah, so this is, as you can see, what Hap decided to bring. That Ribombee is hiding behind that Wailord, but he did bring Toxapex and Tangrowth at nice core. No Chansey, no Aurora, so that means no rocks. The only hazards that I see are Toxic Spikes and Sticky Web, which, I mean, I have Boots, Rabbit Spin, I have Toxic Spike, Absorber. But yeah, so Toxapex, Ribombee, Wailord did come, which I'm very happy about. Tangrowth, Incineroar, and Gallade. So right away, I was like, okay, I think Gallade is going to be my trap, my target for trapping. Incineroar is not a bad target as well, and if I can weaken the Toxapex, that's also not a bad idea. But I was thinking, like, I do have, you know, Urshifu and Toxtricity who can kind of deal with those things. Mega Gallade is kind of a problem if I don't trap it, which was, you know, kind of the big thing on my mind. Let's put it on slow. I think my number one priority was to get the Stealth Rock up, because I did also notice that Ribombee was his only potential hazard control, and, you know, there's a pretty good chance he's not having defog on that, especially if he's running hazards of his own. So he leads Incineroar. Oh wait, I led Toxtricity? Why did I lead Toxtricity? Did I lead it because I thought he was going to lead Toxapex or something? I don't remember. I think I might have led it because I thought he might lead one of these things and I could Volt Switch out. I don't remember. My bad. So he ends up being Fake Out Incineroar, which was something that never really crosses my mind. I decided to just Volt Switch there. My plan also is to kind of bluff a choice item here. As there is a knockoff. I know my Steelix, he wasn't probably going to go for a Flare Blitz there, so I felt like pretty safe going into Steelix. And I really just wanted to get out my Stealth Rock. That's basically the only thing Steelix did in this game. Like, what does it really do against any of these other Pokemon except, like, maybe Earthquake the Toxapex? So he ends up being Block Wailord there as I go into my Slowking. I know I can get a Future Sight off and teleport whenever, like, even if he's Block. It's a pretty fire set, but yeah, teleport unfortunately able to stop that thing in its tracks. So I go into Toxtricity. The Incineroar is forced to come in to take the Future Sight hit, which means I get an Overdrive off on that, and I don't want to get faked out again, so I think I do go to Steelix here, as... Yeah, he does predict that. Well, not quite, I guess, since he would have just Flare Blitzed. I'm able to live that Flare Blitz and Toxic. Yeah, I should have just gone for, like, the Earthquake and knocked this thing out. But I had a feeling he would go, like, Tangrowth or Wailord or something. I don't know. So yeah, finally knocks me out there with U-turn and goes into Tangrowth. And I'm like, okay, the one thing I really have for this is Toxtricity. I think my Slowking with Future Sight might be able to take it on, but it really comes down to if it's physically defensive, like expecting it to be prepared for, like, my Urshifu, or if it's specially defensive, like with Assault Vest. And at this point I was like, I don't really see what it could do back to me, so I'm just going to click Sludge Wave, critical hit, knocked it out. It seemed that this was a very unfortunate one, because as discovered later, Hap did have Assault Vest on this thing, so it did have I think it was guaranteed to live, if not a crit. And then it also had Earthquake, which is something that I honestly totally forgot about. I was just imagining, like, it doesn't have, I mean, Grass move. I'm not worried about a Grass move. So yeah, that was pretty unfortunate for my opponent there. Yeah, Toxtricity gets one. In comes the Gallade, and I was pretty scared of this thing. I went right into Slow King. I knew the knockoff was a potential move. He goes for the Psycho Cut there. I knew knockoff could be an option, and it is, but that's why I have the Culber Berry, and I'm able to get a nice, safe Scald off. Why didn't I teleport? I get a burn. I think I was just worried about that. I don't know. Did I need damage? I must have needed damage. But lucky burn. I get a slack off there as he goes for the Swords Dance, trying to outpace this burn, and he's starting to get there as I go for the teleport this turn. And unfortunately, that's all she wrote for this Gallade, because my Dugtrio is faster and is going to be able to outspeed and knock it out. No problem. And now the Rabambi comes in. And now I'm like, okay, I don't know what this thing is going to do, but let me just go like Komala, because he didn't bring Spectre. Oh, let me talk about that. He didn't bring Spectre, which I kind of get since I had Komala, but also super unexpected. I mean, I can see it, but it's just something that I prepared a lot for, and it's just interesting to see how things work out. So I was like, okay, I don't really have much to do with Komala at this point. I'll just go into it. I have Rapid Spin if he's going for Sticky Web or something, but ends up going for the Quiver Dance, which is a little bit scary, not gonna lie, because Moonblast is doing a lot of damage, and the rest of my team is a little nervous too. But the Rapid Spin does a lot of damage there. Not gonna be enough to outspeed, obviously, with the speed boost, because Rabambi is pretty fast. But my full health Slow King is going to be able to tank one hit and knock this thing out with a Scald. So, big threat averted. That was actually kind of scary there for a second, because I could have had like Psychic too for my Toxtricity. I did have the Focus Sash intact on my Dugtrio, but Dugtrio didn't really have much in the way of hitting it. Maybe Earthquake would have done enough damage or something, but I don't know. Yeah, because would it have done enough to knock it out? I don't know. And then I didn't have Aqua Jet on Urshifu either, so that was something to worry about. But Toxapex comes in here and gives a Toxic off. I don't need too much health on this on my Slow King anymore, because Toxtricity kind of just wins the game. Toxapex is able to tank the hit a little bit there, but there's no reason for me not to just continue to click Overdrive. Incineroar goes down to Rocks. Wailord obviously is not going to be able to tank on the switch, so it does decide to sack Incineroar there, and in comes the Wailord, and at this point he says GG, but I was worried because if I lose my Toxtricity, then I have no way of really beating the Toxapex unless I get I have a Future Sight, I guess, but I felt like Toxtricity was my more safe way of beating this thing. And so I decided to go into Slow King there just to get, all I wanted is a little bit of chip damage on this, just so the Overdrive is a guaranteed KO, and then I can of course go on to beat the Toxapex as well. So that was my train of thought for this section of the battle. Even at, with a Noble Roar, my Future Sight is going to be doing enough damage, and it also prevents him from switching into Toxapex and getting Regenerator off or something. So here, I just go for a Scald, just a little bit more, 8% more damage, potential burn. And then next turn, the Future Sight, he goes for another Defense Curl. So this is a pretty crazy little trapping set with Block, Noble Roar, Defense Curl, and I wonder what the fourth move is. But of course, I was always just fearing Water Spout, because that's what this thing always is doing in the games and stuff. I don't know. So I teleport there, knowing that he's going to take enough damage to the point where my Toxtricity can wrap up this game. And so now it is in the bag. Toxtricity takes out the Wailord, and now it's just a matter of knocking out the Toxapex. So yeah, Toxtricity coming out of there with 3 KOs, which is dope. Definitely want to continue to have this thing on the leaderboard. And I guess that's it. Urshifu didn't even hit the field, which is a shame, but I'm excited to rack up some KOs with that thing as well. Anyway, that's it for this one. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out. Keep dreaming. Goodbye.